all, I'm going to speak to Nick Freeman, lawyer and nicknamed Mr. Loophole, of course. Nick, morning.
Morning, Catherine.
By the way, do you get sick of that nickname now?
No, I embrace it. I trademarked it. It's my nickname. It's mine, and no one else is having it.
And you'll love it, basically.
Well, I wouldn't say I love it, but it's who I am now.
It's your
people know Mr. Loophole. They don't know Nick Freeman, and I'm quite happy with that.
And it's your livelihood as well. Nick, talk us through how this works, because I've just given one example of someone I know.
But your friend's the typical example. When Parliament drafted this legislation, the principle, the spirit behind it was to give deserving cases one more chance, because at the end of the day, for what might be a fairly relatively minor road traffic transgression, you don't want to put people in a situation where they're going to lose their homes, not be able to feed their children, etc., etc. So what Parliament said in very loosely drafted legislation was, you can argue exceptional hardship. You've got to prove it's exceptional hardship, so the burden's on you on the balance of probabilities. And you can only argue it once in a 3-year period, that particular hardship. And all that means is when the court is persuaded there is exceptional hardship, instead of having to disqualify you for 6 months, and that's the minimum period, the court then has a discretion. So if there's exceptional hardship, the court can say, okay, we hear there's exceptional hardship, so we can reduce the disqualification, or we can not disqualify you at all, or we can still disqualify you. We have a discretion, whereas without exceptional hardship, we wouldn't have a discretion. Now, that was the spirit behind the legislation. As I say, in my view, it's badly drafted. And what's happened is you get the most ridiculous scenarios where people who commit many, many offences all over the place, get them all pulled together so that they're dealt with before one court. And that's how you arrive at a situation where the unnamed gentleman has 54 points on his licence and he's still driving. That was never Parliament's intention. And in my view, the legislation should be redrafted to reflect the original spirit of the legislation, which is, in fact, I think, a very worthy cause, which is, as I say, to give you one more chance.
So Mr. Loophole actually thinks this loophole needs to be tightened?
Well, we call it a loophole. It's bad law. It's bad law because Parliament said, look, you should have one more chance. And in my view, one more chance is fair. And if you say, one, I'm going to lose my job, and the court accepts that, and then if, God forbid, you have a family member who becomes very ill and you need to be able to transport that family member to hospital, etc., that will be another hardship within the 3-year period, and you could argue that. And the courts are more persuaded by sort of the innocent victims who are affected as opposed to yourself. But what's happening is the system is being abused because the legislation is badly drafted. And it's very simple. It just needs to be redrafted to prevent people, if you like, lawyers, defendants, I use the word abusing it, dealing with it in a way that doesn't actually reflect Parliament's intention.
So that is literally, you get, say, and this is pure speculation because we don't know who this man is, but we know he's got 54 points.
And can I say, Catherine, he's been through the courts. I don't know why his identity is secret. He's been through the courts. It's a matter of public record.
Okay.
So I'm not sure why we're tiptoeing around the subject.
Well, it's not been published.
The information's come from DVLA and it's data protection.
Yeah, and you could probably go and find out who it is. But yeah, I haven't got it in front of me now, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But this person, they would have employed a lawyer who then said, well, you've got this offence, and this offence. We can get them all seen together, and you potentially won't lose your licence.
Correct. Yes. I imagine the person has committed 4, 5, 6 different offences. Different offences carry different ranges of points. The maximum being 11. And the lawyer, he might have done it himself. He might be very free and done it himself, and got them all before one court. He's not argued hardship during that 3-year period, and he does have exceptional hardship, as your friend did, and the court said, well, yes, this is exceptional hardship. But in my view, what the court should do in dealing with that is saying, yes, all discretion, but in my view, you've abused the system, and, okay, we find for the first offence there is exceptional hardship, and we're not going to disqualify you, but for the remaining offences we will, and we're still going to disqualify you for a period of 18 months or that's what I would do.
Yeah, you're not against the idea of giving someone a last chance, but this is a ridiculous way of dealing with it.
and they're not, in my view, and I don't like to criticise courts, but I don't feel they're exercising their discretion in the way that Parliament intended it to be exercised.
Thank you so much, Nick Freeman, Mr. Loophole there.